Hey, it's Josh here from thecornercutterpodcast.com, a consistent weekly podcast all about speed cubing. Today I'm doing an update video on making a magnetic clock. This will work for both a LingAo clock and any other off-brand Chinese clock as well. And of course, this will work for a Rubik's clock if you want to make that magnetic. I'm making this updated video because after making more and more clocks, I've found some great techniques that will make your clock last as long as possible and for you just to have an overall better clock that can withstand solving it thousands of times. First thing you need is the magnets. You can buy a set of these magnets, 8 ring and 8 disc magnets. I have the link below, or just go to thecornercutterpodcast.com/clock magnets. I have a whole video on opening the plastic case, and you can find the link below, and I definitely recommend watching my other tutorial, the first tutorial, before finishing watching this one, because I give all the details of gluing and everything else. This is just making corrections to what I do better now. My screwdriver I use is about a 1/4 inch wide and pretty thin at the tip. And this is my favorite screwdriver for opening up the plastic cases. And this workbench works really good because it's a hard surface and it has a support beam underneath. So really doesn't absorb any of the hammering. And then you just start by hitting right in the center. Sometimes you have to hit the edges as well. I explained that in my other video. And then you can get the plastic cases off. Now, after doing all the stuff which I talked about in the other video, lubing, taking the little pins out, you want to put it back together so the screws are facing up and down, so at the 12 and 6. And then you can tighten them down all the way. Don't get scared because this is only temporarily. So tighten both sides down all the way so it's snug. And then this is another key to getting your clock moving fast, and that is to loosen it about a 1/4 to a 1/2 a turn. You can see that's a little bit too much, and so we'll tighten it down a little bit right there. And then you can do the other side as well. This will allow the dials to move freely, so you can get a fast clock. And so it's not that hard to turn the dials. But then if you have it too loose, the magnets won't work as good. Before putting the magnets on, you gotta get some sandpaper. I like the 220 grit. Then I cut a strip of it and fold it up so you have a small piece that you can work with. Then you can use it to start scratching up the plastic right where you're going to be putting the ring magnet. This is gonna make the super glue stick a lot better and make it hold on so it has something to grip. So go all the way around until you have something that looks like this. You can keep comparing it to the ring magnet. See that top edge, I did it a little bit too wide, but it'll be fine. You won't even be able to see it. Then once you've scratched up the faces on both sides and scratched up the pinholes as well, then you can see there's lots of plastic dust and little plastic pieces all over that. So instead of just wiping it off with a dry paper towel, which is what I used to do, now I take some rubbing alcohol, apply it to a folded up piece of paper towel, and then wipe off any of the plastic particles, dust, any sweat that might have gotten on there from your fingers. Just make it perfectly clean so the glue doesn't stick to that instead of sticking to the plastic. And found this is major key to keeping the magnets on there, as well as some things I'll share coming up later in the video. And then you can just let it dry standing up, like so, for a couple minutes. Now it's time for the most intense part of making a magnetic clock. So grab one of your ring magnets, and it doesn't matter what side, don't worry about polarity yet, but you're gonna grab your 220 grit sandpaper and start scratching up one side of the magnet, so the glue has something to stick to instead of just that smooth finish. So, as you can see, I'm not pressing very hard. You're just trying to scratch it up, not take any of the undercoating off. You just want to rough up that silver outer coating so it's really scratched. Then you can take more of the rubbing alcohol, put it on a paper towel, and then rub your magnet in that to get all the little pieces of metal off your magnet, so your magnet's clean as well, so the glue can stick straight to the metal and then straight to the plastic on your clock. Make sure to follow the instructions in the other video. I'm just breezing over everything here. I cover it way more in depth in the other video, and I'm just giving you the important updates. So now that I've glued the first magnet on, which we just sanded, remember it doesn't matter about the polarity for that one, then after letting that one magnet dry for a few minutes, you can grab another magnet and see which way it sticks. See, that way it's not sticking. This way it wants to jump right on, but don't let it. Then whichever way it sticks, the side that wants to stick to the other magnet, that's the side that you sand. So just keep repeating that for the whole dark blue side, or whichever side you choose to do first. Then make sure to rub your magnet on the paper towel that has the rubbing alcohol on it. See all that residue that's on the paper towel? Now, the easiest way to hold the magnet to put glue on it is between your thumb and index finger. And then I usually take 2 dabs of glue per magnet. One goes about halfway around, and then you use the other one to finish it. Make sure to try to keep it just on the face of the magnet and not get it on the edges. Now, once you've got all the glue on there, make sure to hold onto it tight so it doesn't jump onto any of the magnets you've already put on, because it's really hard to get off. I've done it a few times after you've done that. So make sure it's centered exactly how you want it. And then I usually take all 4 fingers and press down hard to make sure it's seated on there, and then it'll dry in 15 to 30 seconds, and you can start working on the next magnet. If there's any glue coming out the edges, that probably means you just used a tad too much, and after the magnet has dried, just wipe it right off and try not to smear it onto the clock face, but should come right off. And the alcohol does evaporate, so you'll keep having to apply some on your paper towel. So this next step is one of the big upgrades I really wanted to show you guys in this video. So see how the magnet is sticking. See, it sticks to all the magnets, same polarity on this side. Now when you flip it over, I used to say that have the magnet repel. So see how it's repelling right there? I used to say stick it like that, and that would be so the clock faces are interchangeable with the disc magnets, but now there's really no reason for that, and because it repels, that means they're constantly pushing away from each other, which can make them fall off easier. So don't do that. So now put it on so it sticks. If it's sticking, it's not very strong, but you can feel it. You know you've got it set up the right way. And you just repeat that for all the magnets on the second side. So once again, sand the side that's facing down that is attracted to the other magnet. So I've glued all the ring magnets on both sides and then thrown the 5 by 1 millimeter disc magnets onto the ring magnets. And this is so you know they'll have the correct polarity. So you take it up and then flip it over right onto the pin after applying some glue. Not that hard. Just make sure it stays right in the center, and then just hold down the plastic case so those magnets don't jump up until the disc magnet is dry. If you happen to get some super glue on your fingers, this fast orange stuff works great on getting it off. Also, I recommend that you wash your hands multiple times throughout the entire gluing process with normal soap to make sure your hands are perfectly clean. Then you'll want to solve your clock to make sure it is solvable and none of the pieces fell out. See how all the corners are solved. So this one looks good, but sometimes just one of the dials could be off one. So see that little pin right there? It has to be exactly in that hole in there. If it's a little bit off, it won't be facing. So that probably, if you have one like that, it's probably happened when you were lubing the clock. Before putting the tape on, you'll want to clean off with rubbing alcohol again where it's going to go so it sticks and doesn't start peeling off. And of course you can use 3x3 stickers if you prefer instead of tape. Let that dry for a few minutes and then you can put your electrical tape on. In the comments of the original How to Make a Magnetic Clock tutorial, Luke left a very informative comment about how putting a small piece of electrical tape on one side and having a big one on the other might not comply with the WCA regulations. So now what I do is put a medium piece of electrical tape right in the middle, so there's still some plastic on either side. I think this works the best. Thank you, Luke, for pointing that out, and now these clocks are fully WCA compliant. So now your clock is completely done. You'll be amazed on how well it works. You'll love solving it now, and the dials and pins are so easy to push and turn. It's just so fun to use one of these clocks. If there's any super glue residue, just wipe it off with the paper towel right around the magnet and it should come right off. And then if a magnet does happen to come off, it shouldn't if you glued it correctly, but sometimes one does fall off. Just sand the area where the magnet was, get all the glue off, get it down to the plastic, and then sand the magnet again as well to get the glue off. Wipe it off with rubbing alcohol, re-glue it on, and you're good to go. This clock should last thousands and thousands of solves. And if you magnetized a clock that was right out of the box that didn't have any solves on it, it might be a little sticky. The dials might not turn the best and the pins might get stuck sometimes. That will get fixed after you do a bunch of solves. So you just have to break it in, get that lube worked in, get the plastic broken in as well, and it'll work great after a couple dozen solves. If you have a tip, trick, or see something that I could have done better, make sure to let me know in the comments. If you don't want to make a magnetic clock but want me to make one for you, make sure to visit the link, and then also you can get magnets there as well. Best place to buy magnets, and it's usually same day shipping as well. So I hope this video was helpful. Let me know if it was, and that is it. I'm Josh from the Corner Cutter Podcast over at thecornercutterpodcast.com.